Here are your Court News Ohio top stories in 5 minutes. In a recent Ohio Supreme Court case, the justices heard a disagreement among state appellate courts as to when a children's services agency can ask a court for permanent custody of a child. In 2017, a Portage County youth was placed in the county agency's temporary custody. A year later, the agency filed a motion to make that custody permanent. The law states a court can grant permanent custody to a children's service agency when a child has been in temporary custody for at least 12 months of a 22-month consecutive period. The mother maintains the agency must be involved with the child for all 22 months. The county claims the law says nothing about a 22-month involvement. 50 years ago, there was a pulse on this planet, and out of this world. It was a moment involving a man from Wapakoneta, Ohio, whose footprint took humans to unseen heights.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Neil Alden Armstrong, the first man on the moon. While his aeronautical legacy is known by millions, there are parts of his story, including how he leaned on the law after that historic moonwalk, that remain largely unknown.
Neil was a very humble person, and he did not want his name exploited in any way.
In 1981, when MTV launched, they wanted to use his famous quote as part of its station identification with the channel's logo in place of the American flag. Armstrong refused. 13 years later, Hallmark used the astronaut's name and a recording of his other famous quote,
"The Eagle has landed,"
as part of an ornament without his permission. A lawsuit led to a settlement with the money going to his alma mater, Purdue University. In order to prevent such instances, Armstrong would go to great legal lengths to preserve the integrity and value of items he lent his name to. When the Auglaize County Courthouse celebrated its 100th anniversary in 1994, he autographed limited print paintings of the building, which raised more than $37,000 for local charities.
He said, "You might think that I was really strict about some of my conditions, and frankly, I wasn't. I thought that his conditions all made sense."
In 1999, legislation assisted Armstrong and fellow Ohio astronaut John Glenn. The Right of Publicity statute makes it illegal to use the images of Ohio celebrities for TV ads, endorsements, and other promotions without authorization up to 60 years after their deaths.
We all have the right to tell our own story and decide if somebody else is going to speak for us, who that person is going to be.
That led to Armstrong's most hair-raising case in 2005, when a barber sold his clippings to a collector for $3,000. The collector avoided a lawsuit by donating $3,000 to charity. Unmotivated by money, the icon was always inspired by education. As a former engineering professor, he entrusted Purdue with his likeness after his passing in 2012.
He was just dedicated to doing as much good as he could. I really think that he was an example in so many ways for all of us.
What happened in this case over here with the car?
Typically, students who get an education about the Ohio Supreme Court are from somewhere in the state, but 25 recent visitors at the Thomas J. Moyer Ohio Judicial Center came from 7,000 miles away. The group hails from Hunan Normal University in eastern China. Each person is majoring in teaching English as a foreign language, and they're in Columbus as part of an immersive 2-month cultural program through Ohio State University. On top of learning about the state's judicial system, they're getting familiar with Ohio's history.
We can feel the whole environment, and then we can get more history and more information about the whole thing.
Having already seen the State House and experienced Americana on the 4th of July, they have an expanded understanding about the way of life, including how government serves its citizens.
I really love how the Ohio Constitution got to actually regulate how those Supreme Court judges panels are selected. They're actually here for the people.
And like any guest, they marvel at the majesty that surrounds them, from the Native American lobby to the main courtroom, including some who are considering extending their visit not just in the U.S., but at the court.
Yeah, I don't want to leave even. I want to sleep here. I really like this place.
And that's a look at Court News Ohio's top stories. Visit courtnewsohio.gov for the latest headlines on Ohio's courts. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter.